Hey everyone, thank you so much for coming out today. We're really excited for another episode of Learn with Jason. Today we're continuing a live stream that we did yesterday on Glitch with Potch. Welcome to the show, Potch. How you doing?
Great. Good morning. How are you?
Oh, it's morning.
Extreme morning intensifies.
Yes, indeed. So yesterday we've just like built a Gatsby site, which in and of itself is kind of something that happens a lot on this stream. But what was really interesting about the live stream yesterday is we built a Gatsby site with no code editor. We did it all in the browser, which is pretty cool considering that Gatsby requires things like servers. So we did that using Glitch. So do you want to maybe tell us a little bit about Glitch and kind of how it works and what it is?
Yeah. Glitch is an online coding, hosting, sharing platform. Sometimes it's called the friendly website where you build the app of your dreams. Is sort of the friendly. I believe that's actually literally on the screen. Friendly community where you find the app of your dreams. And what that ultimately means is you can, in your browser, discover super cool apps that are built on Glitch. You can actually view source on both the client and the server of those apps. And if you're excited by them and want to do something on top of those, you can remix them and actually start editing those applications right in your browser. So if you see something cool, maybe you see a cool map of some sort of data and you want to plug in your own data or make that map centered around your community, then you can immediately hit remix and then you're off to the races and you can actually edit that code and have your own version of that app. So you can build stuff from scratch, but I think the real power is in being able to remix other people's stuff, see their code, get this sort of full stack view source. We love view source, not just client side view source, but actually being able to see the entire guts of the app. And the cool part about being able to see the whole source of the app is if someone does want to use a build and minification stuff, they totally can, because you can actually see the source files.
Yeah.
That's really cool. And it's, so you can discover stuff, you can remix things, you can do it all in your browser, but then you can also collaborate, right? The editor is collaborative. You can invite other people in. You can, if you get stuck, you can raise your hand and temporarily have someone join your project. Hopefully we'll demo that today. And at the end of the day, the projects you're building are actually containers running on infrastructure. So you can go in there and you can, launch a console and CD around your remote environment and really get your hands dirty if you need to. So It starts off from something super friendly and easy to use, but all the power of a true Linux container is there.
Very cool.
It's a lot of fun.
Cool.
I launch my text editor occasionally, but a lot of times when I just want to build out a cool example, at this point, just go straight to Glitch.
So how would if I wanted to say like, go find somebody's thing, I wanted to go look for something cool. Is there a way to just kind of browse and look?
Yeah, so if you hit the homepage, you're going to see there's all kinds of featured content, and we bring in artists to do neat title cards. Yeah, you're there. It just shows your thing at the top. So you can see featured things and stuff we'd like you to see. We bring in, we actually have artists come in like every week and do custom art for some of the apps that we think are cool. And there's collections and curation, and then teams can actually create and curate their own creations. So say a great example is if you were to go to /app material, the material design folks have done awesome work creating a bunch of really cool material design examples. So it's just like Twitter, yeah, material. So if you go there, this is actually a curated experience from the material design folks who are featuring their own projects and creating collections, and anyone can create a team and build out these sort of their own landing page. So if you want to showcase a lot of cool apps, you have the ability to do so either as an individual or as a group.
Nice. So this is cool. So if I just and like just to demonstrate this, because I'm going to admit, like we talked about this a little bit yesterday, and maybe could you post a link in the chat to our stream yesterday for anybody who wants to go back and
Absolutely.
view that?
Yeah, I'm going to post a link to the YouTube because our stream got chunked into two because of a technical issue. I spliced those together.
Excellent. Yeah. But so like kind of what I was saying yesterday and what I'm feeling less today after our stream yesterday, but I'm still feeling a little like the old guy who doesn't get it. Glitch has like this very cool community, and there's very cool stuff happening with it. But it also like I have a hard time understanding like what it does. And so, like as you explained, it's Linux containers and all those things. And so what really the part that mystifies me is this like collaborative editing experience. And so I kind of want to dig into that a little bit today and play with that. And so right out of the gate, we've got a question. Does someone have the ability to see my private source code, and how does that work?
So by default, projects are public. But if we were to, maybe we can even jump into our project from last week. Do you have, or yesterday, sorry, not even last week. Do you have Fanatical Willow up? I can throw the link.
I do. I've got it.
Yeah. So if you were to go to the edit project, if you hit, or actually just, I believe you can actually just toggle that lock right there next to the name of the project. There's a little at the very, where it's the, yep, there you go.
Only members.
Toggle that lock button, and now the code is not visible to everyone. We would really love for people to be able to share whatever code they want and let people see the client and the server. However, if something's not ready for prime time, or you've got a little bit of secret sauce in there, you can absolutely lock down a post and make it private, and then only you and people you explicitly grant access to have access to see that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And in addition, please.
I was just gonna say, like, one thing that I love about this is we're on glitch.com. I just posted a link to the actual glitch. What, it's just a glitch. It's called a glitch.
Glitch or glitch project. Always
but so yeah, we have the project here, and down here, this is a running Gatsby site. Like, it's up, it works. We're like going through posts. These posts are built from Markdown. This is what we did on the stream yesterday. So this is amazing that we're looking at a functional Gatsby site. And the thing that's really exciting about this is, like, if I'm trying to show off like a little bit of technique, or if I want to learn something, I don't want to say, hey, if you want to do this, you have to like clone this repo, get it running locally, and then you can see how it works. I'd love to just be able to say, here's a link that shows you what it does. Go look at the code. And so this is really exciting because it opens up that door. So there was a follow-up question from Clayton that says, a better way of asking is, can a user load my code from a private GitHub URL? I think the answer to that is no, right? Like
no. We're not doing anything that we're respecting all existing ACLs, right? Actually, though,
for those of us who don't know what ACL means, could you?
Oh yes, sorry. You're gonna put me on the spot now.
Honestly, I've never heard that acronym before, so I don't know what it means.
No, that's totally fair. Definitely not making sure I don't get it wrong.
Everybody look over here. I'll be.
Well, it's funny you should say that, because I believe the answer is waits for Wikipedia to load access control list. I've only ever heard it used jargonly the way I used it, to say the set of rules and systems in place to make sure that people who explicitly have access or intended to have access.
Okay. Yeah. Perfect. Well, I mean, and that seems like what you would expect, right? If something is private somewhere, then no other service should, and in most cases, I don't know that they could, without you granting explicit access, expose anything private. So I think the short answer would be, if you wanted to put private code somewhere, Glitch is probably not the place for it.
Yeah, I think your private GitHub, though a private Glitch project and a private GitHub repo are probably similar in terms of visibility and opacity. Mm-hmm. But honestly, Glitch we're trying to build a collaborative thing here. People do have private projects, but we highly encourage people to be public and share, and hopefully your creativity is your secret sauce, and not a couple thousand lines of JavaScript.
For sure, yeah. So let's play a little bit. I want to get in here, and I want to edit this project. And if anybody wants to, you would be able to join this project and watch us edit live at this URL.
Oh goodness! Look at those public. Look at all that public.
Yes. So this is what Gatsby generates, and this is like part of our our development server. So the kind of the caveat of what we're doing here is we are running Gatsby develop on Glitch. And so this isn't something that you would want to do for like production. This isn't going to be the most it's not going to be super high performance. This is not something you would serve in production. This is more for like development and collaboration. If you're trying to learn, if you want to share an idea with somebody else, this would be a great way to run Gatsby without having to clone local repos. If you're trying to put a site up on the internet, I don't think this is the way you would do it.
That's probably true. If you want to quickly create a file, a .gitignore file, we can put public in that folder and then in that file, and it will just hide it from our UI.
Nice. So
just to spare your scroll bar and getting around.
Yeah, I'm into it.
Yeah, exactly. You may need to refresh the editor, but it should. it should. I mean, literally, like refresh on this URL. I don't think that there we go.
Yeah.
No, there we go. That's a little bit cleaner.
Yeah. And so we did a couple things that I thought were really cool here, and these are going to be relevant to anybody who's going to stand up Gatsby on Glitch. And the first thing that we did was we had to build this watch.json file. And what that ended up doing is we actually, do you want to kind of walk us through what's happening here?
Yeah. So there's Glitch will look for a few special magic files when it's running, one of which is gitignore, as we just showed. We use the standard gitignore, where if you are gitignoring files, we will just obey that, and by default hide them from your editor view. That may not be exactly what you want, but it's a pretty same default. And we also support a file called watch.json. It can also be called glitch.json if for some reason you had
already have a watch.json.
And they do somewhat similar things. Let me pull up the help center thing, so I'm not speaking entirely out of school. But watch.json ultimately says there are certain events that we automatically will do for you, especially when you're building a static site, that are pretty sensible. If you change server.js, maybe you're just doing a node server.js. If you change server.js, you probably want to restart the server at some point. By default, we'll do that for you. But you can actually specify which files we watch and which files we ignore, and use that to determine when to restart. So in this case, we're saying actually when we change files in source and content, Gatsby is smart. In fact, Gatsby develop is smart enough to automatically rebuild. We don't want to kill and restart the Gatsby develop server. That's just a waste of time. So we're going to exclude those. But if we change things that are core to Gatsby, we're explicitly saying if these files change, do restart the development server, because we need to pick up those changes.
And
by default, I believe the develop server doesn't recognize that those files have been changed.
I think that's something that we're looking to change, but I don't think that it has changed. So yeah, for the time being, you would stop and restart. And then the other thing that we did here is we don't want to do a node install unless we've got a change to package.json. So we also just set that up. And then the throttle.
Let's say you were doing some sort of interesting dependency injection, or let's say you were doing Python, right? Like maybe you've got some extra dependencies. You could add a requirement.txt to the include list. You could add an extra dependency management file that maybe you're doing something really special. You can absolutely put it there, and we'll just, we're gonna that stuff's gonna trigger. Which that's, ultimately this is sort of showing how underneath the hood we're doing this stuff. It's it's an extra configuration. And then throttle is just how often we're checking. If we're, that can be more or less aggressive. Sometimes if maybe you just do want all of the auto refresh and all of the auto reload, but you just don't want it to happen like on every keystroke.
Right.
So you can crank the throttle down. Maybe it's a relatively intense single page app, or it does a lot of stuff at startup, and you don't want to fire as often. Throttle is just a really basic way of doing that.
Cool. And so something that just to kind of give a quick overview of what we did yesterday, we built let's look at the config first. We built a pretty straightforward site that pulls markdown files using the file system and then transforms it into HTML using Gatsby Transformer Remark. we're pulling our posts from here. This is also cool. I like that it starts by showing you Markdown and you can click into it. Feature request would be to make these to read like front matter, because that's like it.
Is that a semi-standard? Is that a semi-standard thing?
Yeah, if you look at like the way that GitHub does this, let's see
Mhm.
what
It
would be
makes like a
one.
mini table almost at the top of the document, right?
Yeah, I think I have some in here that we can look at. So when you go into
And that's
content
it's sort of
and
embedded YAML, right?
yeah, so it is exactly embedded YAML. And so what they do is they take the front matter out and they build this like table out of it. So it's a little easier to read. And then mine completely falls apart because it's using MDX, but that part's nice at least.
Well, we tried.
But yeah, so anyway, so we've got these kind of straightforward blog posts set up, and they have title, date, and slug. We are then loading on the home page just a list of the slug and title of each post, so that we can make a list. And the posts themselves are just pulling in, the title, the date, and the HTML, displaying that. And then we have a pretty simple layout that actually only exists to include the CSS file right now. But if we wanted to, we could add a header or a footer or a sidebar, whatever we wanted. And with that, and then we've got the create pages set up, which very nearly entirely fits on this screen, where we export create pages, run a GraphQL query to get the slug for each page, do a quick error check, and then run through each page and create a new page at the location of the slug. So for rad post, because the slug is rad post, that means that we will be able to come over here and go to rad post. So that's the kind of the guts of this app. So let's say I want to mess with this. Like I want to start messing with it, but I don't necessarily want to change this one. This is where like we would remix it, right?
Yeah, let's say yesterday we built this and we were really happy with it, but today we want to build on top of it. I do this in my streams actually a lot, where we get it working, and then we want to make something fun on top of the working point. So much like in GitHub, you'd make a fork. And in fact, I will say that underneath the hood, these projects are in fact Git repos.
Oh, nice.
So yeah, we can go deeper into that. But you can, click on the drop down and you'll see there's a remix button. And what that's going to do is leave this project in place, and it's going to create a copy. Now, when that copy happens, a couple somewhat smart things occur. One, if you had any secrets in the .env file of your project, anything in .env, all the values are stripped. We weren't using .env, but let's say in .env we had had a secret there. It actually removes when it remixes it. First of all, only people who are allowed to see the project can see that. So yes, you're sharing your screen on the stream, which is obviously everyone can see. But if someone else just wanders into your project and looks at the code,
They wouldn't see this.
they would see this. They would not see any value.
Oh, that's
And
cool.
if you remix the project, you also get a blank. So you'll get the names of the names of the environment variables, but none of their values.
And so if I were to do something like if I said like get this from example.org, then this would stay intact, so that like the instructions for how to get your environment variables would be there.
Yep. So exactly. If you needed OAuth keys or API keys, those are safe with you. And when someone remixes your project, they'll know that they need those keys, but they won't know what yours were. Once again, obviously this breaks down when you're capturing your window and streaming it on the internet, but for the most part, that's but that does work. So I'm going to jump over. You are now in Thorn Iron.
Yeah, and I just saw a call out in the chat, which I thought was cool. It said, and the maker says, "Wow, didn't know that Glitch is so good at collaborating, because you can see who's in the project, in which file and line, and what their time zone is, and how many hours ahead or behind they are," which is really cool. I didn't realize this was a thing. But yeah, we can see like what time it is for N, and it is definitely so it's like 9:20 for me in the morning, 5:20 for that's super cool.
Yeah, so you can just, if maybe someone's not actively in the project, and you want to know whether you can bother them, it's one cool way to see that stuff. If you click on me, I am currently, I think, it should be able to show where I am in the project. Oh, I'm not, you know what? I don't have privileges to edit this project yet.
Oh,
If
how
you'd
do
like,
I?
you invite me to edit just where you were. You can
Okay.
hit invite me to edit, and I'm going to get a little, I just got a little blurb on my screen that says you're now able to edit. So now if you click on me, you should be able to see what file I'm in. This is always, let me try now. Recollapse it and reopen it.
Wait, let me refresh just in
That's
case.
it. Yeah. This
Oh, here we
this
go.
is always a little fuzzy, but
Package.json,
yeah,
line 17.
yep. And if you click on the jump to button, you're going to warp straight to where in the project I am.
Oh, cool. I really like that. Does it show where I am? No. What if I'm
Not anymore.
lost, Potch?
Oh yeah, I see what you need. Like you are here, and you can also see there's little colored widgets on the sidebar that show where people are in your project.
Yes, I love this feature. Like, this is such a cool thing where now I know that you're the blue underline, and I
Mm-hmm.
can see the blue here, and like I know that Ann is in watch.com or watch.json because I can see his color here. And like as people stack up, you can also see it kind of show up in the thing. So like if everybody goes into watch.json, we'll see the colors stack up on the left. And like yesterday when we were on the stream, we saw like 5 or 6 people were in there, and so the colors are just extending all the way through the.
Just building out a big rainbow.
Yeah, it was great. I loved it. But so okay, so cool. So what we've done now is we've got this new project, which I can throw this over to everyone here. Oh wow, somebody's in the chat who actually read my book, one of my first books, which so you were the one. Thank you for reading it. But yeah, so okay, so we are now in this file, and
Mm-hmm.
we've got our own Gatsby site. We've forked it, so we can start playing around a little bit. So if I wanted to, let's say like add a header, I'm going to come in here. Let's do a header, and that's gonna say Jason Sweet Remix. And if I
Rad to sweet.
and I don't even need to save it, I can just move back over
Yep,
here
it's already.
and oh, I didn't even need to refresh. Here it was. So now we've got like a header, and if I move around, that didn't do what I expected because why? Because we didn't actually wrap our posts in the layout.
Why would we do such a thing?
Foolishness. So let's also import our layout.
Oh yeah, this is where we finished last week, where the CSS was magically getting injected, so we sort of declared victory.
Yeah,
we didn't actually wrap things.
And the reason for that was that because like everything is on the same in development, like all the CSS is kind of included at the same time. So we're effectively like kind of as soon as we import it here, because it goes into the bundle and the CSS is global, it will kind of break. Like it would look weird in development. This is actually one of the reasons that things like CSS and JS are kind of interesting. Is like you get what you doing, buddy?
Oh, I'm just adding. Sorry, I was adding the layout to the about page.
Ah,
but
gotcha.
also breaking build.
Yeah. So, but that's actually pretty cool because so while I was blabbering on about things, Potch just went in and like made this change and fixed a thing. So now we've got an about page, and so we can go back into our header here, and let's add like a nav, and we'll go. Let's see. We'll add a link to the homepage, and we'll say blog, and we'll add a link to the about page. We'll say about, and then I just need to import. Where am I? I'm here. Here. Import link from Gatsby. And when we get back out here, we have a blog and an about once it comes back. Come on, little friend. What did
I
we
broke
lose?
it. That's
Oh,
on me. That's on
we
me.
lost the.
That's on me. Everything's good.
You got it. You got it.
Yeah.
Yeah, but so now we have a link to our blog. We have a link to our about page. And let's say I'm going to add a space in between these because that's going to bother me otherwise. But
I appreciate it.
here we go. All right. So we've got a space between blog and about now. And so we can go to different areas of our site. And I don't like this color. Let's change it. I'm going to screw around with, let's make it.
Tough but fair.
Let's make this color in an homage to John Otander and Brent Jackson. Let's call it tomato. It's their favorite color. And then we will make the front color white. And that's pretty gross, but oh man, that's no. The contrast is all wrong here. Let's go like light pink, and
maybe how about papaya whip?
Papaya whip. All right, where you at? Here we go.
That'd be too dark.
There, I think so. This is better. We've got.
Oh no, there we go. Papaya whip. It's
yeah,
not
we've
that
got,
it's from our original color, but
an acceptable level of contrast, and we can actually see things. So like this is cool because basically now what we've got is we've got this thorn iron. But if I go back to what was it, Fanatical Willow?
Mm-hmm. The project names are always fun.
Is it just like some kind of a goofy generator that somebody wrote?
Yeah, it just picks two words from the list.
So now we've got like two similar pages, but they're like separate projects now. So I didn't have to break this project or really change it at all. I was able to just kind of pull it apart and make some changes, and now it's mine. I can share an independent link. So that's a pretty slick feature.
Yeah, I mean it's production forking, right? As opposed to your code, we actually fork to the running app,
which I love. Like it really does give us a lot of flexibility, and like the fact that we were able to do that so quickly is, I think, really powerful. Like I didn't have to clone things. I didn't have to use Git. I didn't even have to use the command line at all. I just like hit this remix button and played. That's so exciting to me, because when we're trying to teach people this stuff, especially when you start getting into the JavaScript landscape now, it's so daunting. A lot of times to write React, before you can write your first line of React, you have to learn how Webpack works, how Babel works, how the command line works, how npm works, how to install node modules, and all of that seems easy once you've learned it. But like if you're coming in fresh, like what happened to the days of just being able to open up a browser and like type something in a file, save it as index.html, and look at it? And this, I feel, brings us closer to that. We can just open up a browser and play. I love that.
Modern front end can feel a little bit like Carl Sagan's quote about baking an apple pie. If you wish to bake an apple pie from scratch, you must first invent the universe.
That's a good one.
Yeah, and so it's like, well, there's a lot. We've built up these phenomenally useful layers of abstraction, but they're not as available out of the box. You've got awesome things like the Gatsby CLI and Create React App that make that easier, but there's still a lot of assumptions in between. I opened the lid on my computer for the first time and like set up my login to like I'm building a website.
Yeah. And
I remember one of my absolute favorite things about web development, particularly when I was in school, was I could sit down at any computer in any computer lab, and as long as I had Notepad and a browser, I didn't have to pay attention. Right? I could immediately start building. I could immediately start programming and goofing off. And maybe that's the wrong message to send. But
but I do love the spirit of it, right? The fact that you were
stay in school.
It was so easy to get started, and I think that we moved away from that because the tools got so powerful, and you didn't want to not have access to the tools, but you also we don't want to have that intense learning curve to get somebody started. So
precisely,
I love the plug and play nature.
Yeah, and there's room for the sophisticated tools. Obviously, I wasn't going to sit down with Notepad and build a advanced game, right? There's tool chains are important.
Yeah.
So like it's cool. The reason I'm excited about Glitch is we help bring the sort of boilerplate with you really quickly. I think yesterday I described it cheekily as it's the first hour of your workshop,
Yeah.
right? As opposed to getting everyone to download and set up your environment locally. They just like, go hit remix on this project. Cool. You've all done it. The conference Wi-Fi is still up. Great. Let's get started.
Yeah. So there's a question: Does Glitch have autocomplete or IntelliSense?
It presently does not. We're scaling up a developer tools team. We want to try to do some more sophisticated stuff, and we're also working on a tool that will let you in VS Code mount a glitch project right into your editor. So it's sort of a virtual file system where if you and then as you make changes live in VS Code, they're automatically being synchronized back to Glitch. So you could have code, your VS Code up, and the live view in Glitch the same way right now we've got the Glitch editor and a live view. And that way you can bring all of your plugins. We're not going to try to rebuild VS Code from scratch. We'd much rather say, if you want that highly tricked out editor, we're going to work with that. I think that's a much more reasonable way of getting around things. Obviously, we're going to make improvements to this editor, but we also want people to be able to bring their editor to the table. And VS Code that's our first place that we're in making the investment. And that's going to be really cool. I've been beta testing that. It's not, not 100% shipped yet, but it's going to be really great being able to do live typing in the editor of your choosing and getting stuff deployed.
Yeah. So let's play with some other features here. There's one that you hinted at that I've never seen that I want to try. So let me do something. I'm gonna have a bad idea.
I love it.
And I'm going to say, like, please send me Twitter messages about whether or not designers should learn to code.
Oh yeah, people.
Right?
This right.
So this is
join the conversation.
This is a really really bad idea, right? So I've done this. My DMs start filling up. People are angry. And I want it to stop. How do I make this go away? Like if I'm here, I've left. What can I do?
First, you go to twitter.com/delete account. So what in reality, what you're saying is, I've made a change to my project. I've gone down maybe got myself into a dead end.
Yes.
So toward the bottom of the editor, there's this sort of tools button. And in the tools button, you're going to see there's the tools button and there's that little rewind icon. It's giving us a little warning about some memory stuff. That's okay. But hit that little rewind icon. That's the tool we call, funnily enough, rewind. You may need, and it's going to think for a second. And what you're going to see is a visual timeline of the Git history of this project, all the way back through remixes. So if you look back far enough in the past here, you're going to see everyone who has ever, we remixed this Thorn Iron from Fanatical Willow, but Fanatical Willow was remixed from Glitch's Starter Express project.
Right.
So we can actually rewind through the entirety of time and see all changes. So as you drag that slider back, you're going to see stuff disappear, and you're going to see a little annotation in the editor of, you can see, we've gone past the point where we added the git ignore, but you can see it's going to show. And I believe we do a checkpoint commit every 10 minutes or something like that.
Okay.
So hopefully we have a checkpoint between when you added the footer and the previous change we made.
Is it?
You want to just look around the project to see what's going on.
Okay, so let's poke at here. No changes.
Looks like the only change right now, it says, and you see this little icon that says there's currently changes.
That's this one?
Red, green.
Got it.
Yep. So it looks like
other changes.
The spot you're at is only undoing the most recent change you've made.
And that's the one that we want to get rid of. I want to stop the madness.
So you can hit rewind project. It shows the little tape deck, which is a nice throwback.
I love it.
And also, while you were doing this, I actually kind of lost view because it was like it temporarily disconnected me from the project because you were in there messing with time.
Oh, interesting.
So, which is totally okay.
With time, we can't have.
You want two people messing with time. This is the problem
with time travel, Potch.
You want paradoxes? This is how you get paradoxes.
Okay, but so what's cool about this is like we've now like we undid it. So obviously the change that I made was silly. It would have been very easy for me to just highlight and delete it. But if I was trying to do something new, like I were to go through and make changes in like 5 or 6 files to try out some idea. And I get there, I'm like, you know what? I've overcomplicated this. It's too much. Like going back and deleting each of those things is cumbersome and kind of a pain. And with Git, you would just check out another commit, but Git is hard, especially if you're like new to using Git. So this idea of being able to just like scrub a timeline and tell us like, yeah, that looks like what I want, and then you just drop it out. That's pretty powerful stuff.
Yeah, and particularly in, because we're within one sort of, because the glitch project is sort of one clone, right? It's one fork, right? The timeline is relatively flat.
Yeah.
We're playing with the idea of also having fast forward, where if you see where if you hit the fast forward button, not only would instead of seeing your past, it would show you other people's remix futures, and you could fast forward your project down one of the remixes.
Ooh, interesting.
Which I'm really excited about.
Yeah,
that would be really sort of that they were really. So imagine I forked your project and made some changes, and then you wanted them. You could fast forward into my project.
So you're basically creating like a visual representation of like Git. So that would be kind of like,
and leaving aside
opening a pull request to myself.
Correct. And that's we want to try to build a basic contribution flow that can work directly on Glitch. Or even better yet, imagine you had a GitHub project, but I could remix your GitHub project on Glitch. And then this is my dream. And then you have a GitHub project, I remix it, I make changes, and then you can actually pull. Ultimately I want to be able to just like do a pull request from a Glitch project back to a GitHub repo. We're not there yet.
That would be but I mean it's possible because we've seen all these visual Git tools, right? So that's a really powerful model, because one of the biggest blockers that I see for first-time contributors is how intimidating the GitHub workflow can be if you've never done it before. Like there are these screens that have words that you've never heard, and it's talking about like origins and upstreams and commit messages that are like random hashes. Like, what does any of that mean? And if you're not familiar with like branching or version control, this can be extremely overwhelming. And I know, like I've sat next to people and tried to talk them through it. In my head, I'm like, oh, this is simple. And then I hear them reasoning through how this stuff works, and I'm like, oh no, I've just built a lot of like psychological scar tissue that makes this like manageable for me. But really, like Git is hard. It doesn't follow any kind of real world analogies. It's
I literally last night caught myself saying to someone, Git doesn't know about files, it only knows about changes.
Oh my God.
Which is true, but also not helpful.
Yeah. It's so hard to conceptualize. Like I remember trying to draw graphs to explain it to people. I was like, oh, well, the branching model kind of makes sense, but like it really like does and it doesn't. You just have to it's like learning to play the piano. You just have to get to the point where you can just play. And like that sucks. Like I mean, it's obviously very powerful, and I'm very glad that I know how to do it, and I don't think we should get rid of it, but it is a barrier to entry. And I think that if we could let people,
a lot of work.
Yeah, and for like something simple, if you want to fix our docs, I don't want you to have to learn Git to submit a docs pull request. Like, just make a quick change and let us know that you did it, and then we can like approve that and give you a high five and a t-shirt. Like that's really what we're all about at Gatsby, is trying to get people into open source contribution and into like learning and being part of this community. So lowering that barrier is such a big part of what we're trying to do. And we shoot for that with Gatsby in terms of like removing you don't have to set up Babel or Webpack, and it's like one CLI command to get everything up and running. But you still have to open a command line. And that can be a lot for somebody who's just trying to get a sense of whether or not they like coding.
Yeah, and one of the things I have to commend Gatsby about is one of my frustrations with some I think sort of when people naively run down the road of changing a site over to React, is a lot of times they lock the copy away inside JS files, right? Yes. Or like they might lock site copy away in JS files, but because Gatsby upfront is like, no, content can come from all these different data sources. You can still have content professionals and copy editors, and those people shouldn't have to learn to code. And I think that's one of the awesome things about Gatsby is, no. If we have an existing content CMS, like we'll make a plugin for that. Like, no, we want to bring your content into our React site and not drop our React site on your content.
100%. Like that's
And that's the thing that's wonderful to me. I was so that's one of the reasons I'm stoked about this, because that was a frustration I had when we were just doing some rebuilds in the past, which is just like, okay, well, did we just lock people when this was just HTML? There were people who just wanted to fix a typo,
right.
and I think this gets us much further down the road where there is this nice separation of structure and content, and
yeah,
I love it.
I mean, this is like one of the hardest problems in like building for the web is defining where the abstraction should be. Like where does data live? Where does presentational markup live? Where does all this business logic? And we've seen iterations and really loops. If you look at the like over time, the way that people have solved these problems, like, well, we should do it with classes. We should do it with MVC. We should do it with like, flow or flux or whatever, whatever you want to do it. Like there's so many different ways to solve these problems. And it's really, really hard to get right, and no solution is right for everything. And so one of the goals with Gatsby is to rather than say this is the solution, we say this is the pattern, and then you can choose which components fit into that pattern that suit your needs specifically. And I've really liked that. You can just write text right in the JavaScript if you want in Gatsby, but you don't have to. You can put it in a markdown file, or you can put it in like your enterprise level CMS, or you can put it in Shopify. Like wherever you want to manage your content, you can. So anyways, that's a little tangent about why I'm such a Gatsby fanboy. Happy to hear that you share that enthusiasm. So something that I am curious about, I've seen, like, looking on the, how do I get to the Glitch homepage? I'm gonna go here.
Yeah, if you just do mashglitch.com.
So I'm on the homepage, and something that I saw here is this. What does this mean?
Help others get thanks. It's actually funny you should say that, because while you were just talking, I actually remixed your project.
Okay.
And I was like, oh man, I think this site would be great if I added just one more link. And I'm playing with the link tag and I just don't get it.
Mm-hmm.
So what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually, if you just watch the homepage, I'm going to highlight my change. I think I'm doing something wrong. I don't get it. I'm just going to take a look. I'm going to raise my hand. I'm stuck on this Gatsby link. I'm going to add some tags to say like what my issue is, and I'm going to ask for help. And so if you watch that in just a moment, it's going to a signal is going to go out to the internet and say that, hey, I'm stuck, like, and I need help.
Oh, cool.
And hopefully it should be on this next. And there, so so I'm actually, I don't know what to do. So you now on my end, I see a little thing where you've appeared in my project and it says, can I help? So I'm going to accept your invite.
Cool. And so now if I just make a change?
So once you're, now you're in my project temporarily.
Uh-huh.
So if I look in here and I go, hey, I don't know what I did wrong. Right? Like,
so we can like straight up chat in here.
Yeah, and people frequently just do commas.
So I can just type a little message, and then I can do this.
Oh, it's two. It's not href. You look at it and you don't even. Right? And so what I'm going to do now is I'm actually going to thank you, because you totally just saved my bacon. I actually hit. So I in my end there's a button that says thanked one time. So I actually thanked you. So if you click on yourself, you can actually see that you've been thanked.
Oh, cool. That's great. I also love just noticing up here that there are 3 different people who showed up to help within the 10 seconds that was available.
Well, and this was obviously we had we were drawing people's attention to that, but it's still awesome. And this is generally speaking true. Helping people jump in to help all the time. It's awesome. I can probably turn off my call for help now. Stop asking. So I'm going to stop asking, and that's going to
That is super
So,
cool. And now
um,
I've lost my ability to edit then.
I believe that's true.
That's
Try
cool.
deleting those comments. No, no, you didn't. I think it goes away after a short period of time.
Okay.
But oh, I can hit remove from project right now also.
Ah, I got you. So
So
now
I've
I'm
pulled
just
you from this
looking at it.
project. Now
Cool.
you're just looking. But you totally fixed my link, and that's awesome. And I think that's that's a really fun thing about Glitch is we're trying to build something that's collaborative and friendly. And actually, right now, ultimately, we want to have some paid features. By default, your project goes to sleep after a certain period of time of inactivity. You've been thanked once. Oh, that's nice. By default, so there's a couple things that may ultimately be paid features that are right now experiments.
Mm-hmm.
One of which is custom domains. If you want to put a custom domain on your project, um, you can't by default. However, if you've been thanked enough, you get access to the experimental beta feature.
Oh, interesting.
So if you get thanked enough, all of a sudden you get a thing that says, "Hey, guess what? You can use custom domains."
Oh, so that it's like almost like sort of I hesitate to make
It's
a comparison to like Stack Overflow, but like you get additional privileges by being active in the community.
Yeah, and obviously, we may also charge for that feature, and
Sure.
also you could set up a thanks ring with your friends where you all thank each other and get access to it. It's
Of
not,
course.
we're not. It's okay if you game it, but we also just want to reward people and encourage an environment where people are jumping in to help other people. And we don't advertise that you get special rewards for helping people. That just happens to be true.
Yeah. Yeah. I just switched to the dark theme.
Oh
I
yes, you desire the dark theme.
now I'm just pushing buttons.
Well, you know what? That's great. If we want to, and actually, you're in Chrome.
Yes.
So we have a thing that's currently only working in Chrome. Where if you go to Tools,
Tools.
you can then click on the debugger. It might be click on Logs first. I think it might be. I
Logs.
think we have it somewhat hidden. So go Tools and then click on
Debugger.
Logs. That's gonna, and then there's gonna be a button for Debugger. And what that's going to do is ultimately give you a way to mount your Chrome debugger to the remote glitch node process.
Ooh. I feel like this would. So I have a confession to make.
Please.
I am a console log debugger.
I
I've
am
only
also a
used
shameless
debuggers like
console.log debugger.
once or twice.
I am a shameless console.log debugger, and I have never used this feature, but it's there for those people
So
who are diehard breakpointists.
do I need to do something to get it to?
Is it just spinning in place for you? Young projects.
Let's see. I don't see any errors, but maybe I'm doing something wrong. Do I need to set breakpoints? I actually have no idea what's going on.
By default, it should be. No, it should give you instructions for how to do this, and it's not. That's just kind of a pity. Go back to your project, the Thorn Iron project. You can leave this open. Just go back to the Thorn Iron. Oh, does it have a? It says to stop the debugger, but it never seems to have mounted. Give that tab one more refresh, and otherwise we'll say put a pin in this, and we'll come back to it some other time.
Looks like nothing's happening.
Okay, we're gonna put a pin in that and come back to it. Like I said, something that we're still working on, but we want remote debug support.
That is very cool.
Hit this, and you can hit the stop button to just
Stopped.
at the bottom. There's a little yeah, you got it. Obviously, there's the console. We showed that on my stream yesterday, but you can pop that open just to show people that we have access to the actual true, true environment. The Linux command line and everything.
Yeah, so this is like the full output from Gatsby.
So that's the full output, and then the console button itself is, instead of the web console, is actually the terminal console.
Cool. What's in
so
here?
That's going to think for a second, and actually now you can ls and cd around and actually check out the true guts of your application.
Yeah, so we can really we can poke at things.
Yeah, so let's say just touch a file, touch a cool a file we haven't seen yet. Just it could be whatever. Great. And then right by default, that file is not going to be in the glitch editor. But if you could run the command refresh, we can confirm that.
Oh yeah, let me do that. So I'm gonna.
But if you now
Oh
run, but
God,
if you
what have
then
I
run the
done?
front command, I know.
I'm stuck in an endless resize. Okay.
Oh, oh,
And I got it. I got
you
it.
know, yeah.
So here I'm gonna refresh the page.
Oh, so actually, no, the command R actually, oh, they can do that too.
But
That should
so
actually pick it up. Did that pick up the secret file?
it didn't. Do we need to tell it to pick up the
Okay.
secret file?
So yeah, by default, we're not watching all files in the file system. But if you go open up that console and type refresh, it's going to say, oh, hey, there's a file. It's going to actually rescan your project and pick it up. So now if we go back to the editor, we should be able to see Potch's secret stuff.txt.
Cool.
And so this lets you go around, and let's say you're doing a bunch of work. Let's say you need to scaffold out a whole new directory or delete a bunch of files. You can just go in and do that, and then when you're done, say refresh, and the editor will pick up your changes.
So if I don't want anybody getting your secrets, so I can just remove, and then we'll refresh again, and that will go away.
Yeah.
There it goes. It's gone.
Yep.
That is
So this,
pretty
that's just underneath the hood. This is really a Linux project running Node, right? We're not. There's nothing magic proprietary in that layer. And ultimately, we're running Node, and I would say that Node's probably Node and JavaScript are our sort of tier 1 support. But if you wanted to put Python in this container, you could do that. If you wanted to put PHP in this container, you could do that. I think type Rust C-V. I think Rust is actually in our containers. So if you can really maybe hopefully that's not gonna that might have been a verbose, that might have been maybe a dash capital V or dash version. Anyway, like the Rust compiler is in our container. But we actually
cool.
underground support a bunch of stuff. It knows where we provide a lot of the smart tooling on top and the dependency management, but there's a lot you can do.
So this was the first thing I've ever coded in Rust. So you taught me something new today.
This is like me learning GraphQL yesterday.
Hey, yeah, I mean, you wrote a lot of GraphQL yesterday.
I did write a lot of GraphQL yesterday.
Yeah, and I think I only had to bail you out once. You did all of that on your own, which is how did you feel about GraphQL, by the way? Like having never used it before.
It's a lot of curly braces, but I understand. It's effectively, it's like if someone was like, gosh, I wish I didn't have to use, like, sure, JSON's fine, but typing double quotes and colons is a real bugbear. It feels kind of like that. But I think I get the general spirit of it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and we didn't get into any of the stuff that's really powerful with it, which I feel like there's a future whole episode dedicated to this. Yeah, where it really starts to shine is when you get like the relationships between nodes, because when you have like a REST API, if it's normalized properly, you're going to say like, I want my blog post, and I put in like, my API like /blog/ID is whatever. And it's going to return back a JSON object. And if I want comments, the comments it's going to give me like an array of comment IDs that I then have to make follow-up requests to get. In GraphQL, those can be nested. So you would do like, give me the blog post, and then give me the comments, and then give me the all the blog posts by people who commented. And you can kind of create these like infinitely nested queries with all the relationships between data. And that's where it really starts to shine. And the reason that we ultimately went for it, because we're taking data from all these different sources. We need ways to interleave that data and make it useful. But so, okay, we've gone through thus far. We did the Gatsby site, got it up and running yesterday, but we've got ourselves a Gatsby site now, and we're able to just kind of take a look at it, jump around, see everything that we've got going. We also remixed it, and we have 2 versions of that site now. And then we did some time travel. We rewound the project when I made a bad decision, and we went through and walked through how would I ask for help? Like if I
absolutely, yeah, I know, I kind of did that off screen. So let's say it's actually pretty simple. You just highlight a bit of code and hit the button. and it's going to pop up a little. You can hit it. It'll give you this second tier where it gives you a chance to explain what you want, and then ultimately ask for help. And it even gives you a sort of a reassurance that helpers can't see your .env secrets.
So if I just type in GraphQL, does that work?
Yeah, you need to
Okay.
tab or something like that. But
Okay.
yeah, there you go.
All right, and then I'm going to hit ask for help, and then this is going to show up on the homepage.
This is going to show up on the homepage.
Cool. And then anybody who shows up.
Yeah.
Is it showing me?
It's there. Yeah, I can. You are your hand is raised.
Cool. So yeah.
And
yes,
then
please help. How do I let you?
There you go. Yeah. Oh, I'm in a status where sometimes I can just appear because I'm already editing this project. You invited me already, which is why. Yeah, but on is asking to help, so I believe you can, if you could decide.
Invite to help. All right, On, you want to do some guest commenting?
And then at any time, even after someone invited someone in, and then at any time you can stop asking for help. So you can just click on where that hand is raised.
Okay, so I'll click this. I will stop asking.
And then On is still in your project, but it's no longer broadcasting on the homepage, right? You've got someone on the project.
Yeah.
And once On is wrapped up, you can remove them from the project.
All right. So thanks, On, and let's thank. And then what?
Well, actually, they may already be out of the project.
Oh, cool. So that just happened then?
Yeah, I think so.
I like it. I'm into it. I wonder why I was still able to. On, can you still edit? Like if you try to change something?
It might be for a period of time. I'm not off the top of my head.
Let's see.
And obviously there are obviously.
Oh, I do have to click. It was just down, so I would have to remove. So I'll remove. Cool. I love that feature. Like I love the fact that I can just say like, hey, I'm stuck on a thing. And I also love that looking at the Glitch homepage, there aren't like thousands of these where people aren't getting help.
No, and because I think people tend to jump in pretty quick. And we have internally, we have like literally a stream of every raised hand, so we can watch them go by. And there's a fair amount at all hours of the day. And so that if you're not seeing them on the homepage, that means they're getting help.
That's great. That's really cool. Awesome. Well, Potch, is there anything that we haven't covered that we should look at?
I just wanted to really quickly say, okay, you're happy with this project, or you think this is a great example of how to use Gatsby. Yes. If you click that share button, you're going to get a menu of ways to share it. One of which is embed, and you can embed much like when you went to the sort of the glitch.com / name of project. You can actually create a code in live view, and you can adjust that, and you can actually copy paste this widget into a site. Let's say you want to throw this in the Gatsby docs. You could throw this on a blog post, and you can customize things, right? You can hide this little there's panes at the bottom, and it gives you some embed codes. And I believe you can even do some resizing if you click and drag those drag handles.
Yeah.
And just get it the way you like, and then copy paste and drop that stuff into your site. So you can have a live production application that people can play with right in your site. And then they can hit remix and jump straight in to start playing with it. So you can make rich examples right in your docs, right on your blog post, and people can jump in whenever they want.
Holy crap. That is huge, and I love it, and I want to do it right now. Like I feel like this is like we've tried this in a couple other ways, and we have yet to find one that feels really like it. The ergonomics are always just slightly off. Like it's good but not great, and so I'm really curious. Like I'll probably do a little like pilot project with this and see how people do with it, how they like it, because I love this as a concept of like, look at this thing. This thing does the thing that we're trying to explain remix it and play with it yourself and see how it works. I feel like that'll be a really good way to explain concepts. So awesome. Potch, this is amazing. Is there anything else that we should take a look at?
I would say this stuff is always, I think this, sharing and putting this stuff out there is always one of my favorite parts of building these things. Is
Absolutely.
sometimes, sometimes we get a chance to just make something really silly. The other thing I would say is jump back to, you can jump, actually in your description, make sure your description of this project is good. If you click the drop down next to your name, right? If you have a simple Gatsby site, that's totally legit. And then actually we can, this is now, this project is public, which means we can search it, right? You're now on the site. So if someone wants to learn how to build a Gatsby site, this comes up.
Cool. So let's actually, if I rename it, does that break everything? Does it do redirects?
It's going to do, no, it does not do redirects. But I do recommend you rename it if you think it's something you're going to endure with.
Let's do that. And then I'm going to, what does this do? Does this break now? Oh, it still works. Interesting.
That is interesting.
Maybe it just hasn't restarted yet.
Yeah, perhaps.
But it does work at simplegatsbysite.glitch.me, which is really cool. Man, this is exciting. I'm into it. I think this is great. And Potch, where can people find you online? Where should we be looking?
You can find me at twitter.com/Potch, and then actually glitch.com/@Potch. I'm constantly building out little fun examples and posting them there. Frequently, I tweet about them. Sometimes we just build some fun, silly stuff. So if you check out glitch.com/@Potch, twitch.tv/Potch, all the wonderful places. Obviously, every week I stream on Wednesdays, the day before you. And yesterday you were so kind to come on and school me in not just Gatsby, but GraphQL and React hooks and everything. And so, which was a blast. My first guest. I want to do more now.
I love
maybe you spoiled me.
I love the team aspect of it. I feel like it's fun to live stream on my own, but it's way more fun to live stream with somebody else because really that's also like just kind of the whole theme of this show is I want to learn something, and learning on my own is fine, but I feel like other people watching that is mostly just me Googling and swearing, so it's not as much fun.
Well, it's funny. I've gotten a little bit of feedback that's like watching you get stuck is confidence building, which is like, I'll take that. But also it's more fun to have a co-pilot. And sometimes my chat's my co-pilot. Sometimes it's good to have someone in the room. But yeah, and then I think people should just go to Glitch, hit that new project button at the top, or grab a building block, or follow a link, and just start messing with stuff. Get stuck, ask for help, and make fun things. I think that's the most important thing. We want people to make cool stuff, chase down an idea. If they have an ambitious idea, find a project that's similar and hack it.
That's so much fun. Potch, thank you so much for coming on. I think we will. This is a good stopping point. And so if anybody would like to join us, we are going to do another stream next week with David K. Piano, where I'm going to learn about state machines, which are a way to manage complex state in apps in a way that he told me you can auto-generate your tests, which is amazing. So that's going to be a really exciting one. I have literally no idea how this stuff works, so I'm super excited to learn it. And then I'm going to take a week off. I'll be at JS Heroes the week after that. And then we're going to come back. I did a stream earlier this week with Marcy Sutton. We built an accessible feedback widget. On the 18th, we're going to do just an accessibility deep dive. We're gonna look at different patterns that people get wrong. There's a lot of things that I didn't even realize I was doing wrong. So we're really excited to bring that on and make the web a better place for everyone. Thank you so much, everybody, and we will see you next time.
Thanks, everyone. Thank you so much, Jason.